Good morning and welcome to Unity Spiritual Center, Pflugerville. Our conversation today is on wisdom. And wisdom can be discernment, judgment, and biggest issue is probably intuition. And Reverend Maddie is with us this morning to do that. And I have a bias, so I have to be careful. But I've been with her a few years. I've seen her. We frankly, the two of us have been all over the United States. We lived for a while in Washington, in the area in Spokane, Washington.
You're going to name all the places?
No, but I want them to know you were with, what was the guy's name that had so much control he could put?
Jack Schwartz.
Jack Schwartz. Jack Schwartz is one of the amazing people that a lot of us don't know about today. She worked with him, or had a conversation with him. Carolyn Linares, for many years, was the intuitive at the Association for ARE, okay? And that is an organization that's literally now all over the world, based out of North Carolina. And she studied with Carolyn Linares for a year. And she went monthly to a 2 or 3 day weekend. And Carolyn Linares was proven. They had a study done on her, and she did predictions. They put them in a safe, and then they opened the safe a year later, and the woman was 96.8 accurate. Okay, and Madeline studied with her, and I'm sorry I have to tell them this, but she is one of her bright stars. She said Carolyn told me that I had to be careful with her. Okay.
Thank you, Robert.
So I don't get a chance to talk about you very much. She is an ordained minister. She's the administrator of our church. And she can't wait to get into an office where we have a building so she can turn it over to somebody else. True?
Yes.
Okay. So Madeline is doing our dialogue on intuition wisdom. So I'm going to shut up.
Hello.
Good morning.
I told Robert a couple weeks ago that I wanted to do wisdom because I love intuition. And I've done a lot of intuition workshops through the years, lots. And Robert said to me, did you really look up in all these books what wisdom is? Or look at the card? And I go, no, it's intuition. Well, when I looked at it, it said judgment, discernment, intuition. And so I can't even remember the word discernment. I didn't even know what it meant in the beginning. So I've been looking at all that this week. And what I put together in myself this week was hopefully something that I can transfer to you all that will help you knowing that each and every one of you has a marvelous intuition. And all it is learning how to use it. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. First of all, I'm going to begin with the definition that I Googled. Wisdom is the quality of having experience, knowledge, and good judgment, the quality of being wise. Judgment, the ability to make considered decisions or come to sensible conclusions. Discernment, the ability to judge well. Intuition, the ability to understand something immediately without the need for conscious reasoning. That's a lot. Isn't that a lot to put together? So how are we going to get wisdom out of all this? So I thought I'd start with an example to help understand, especially discernment. Let's see. Last week, first of all, Robert, y'all know Robert had surgery on his nose. So I'm the Florence Nightingale in the house. So I'm the one that takes care of it every day.
Changes it every day.
I change it every day. So this week, I've been really concerned because it didn't look right. It was too loose and it just, and I said to Robert, we need to go earlier than the 11th. And he said, no. So I took a picture of it and sent it over to the doctor's office. And in that time, Robert said no. Okay, so he said no, and then my mind's going, well, suppose I'm wrong. I'm telling the doctor what to do, this surgeon, okay? Then I'm telling the office that I want to get in to see the doctor, and my mind's going, oh my gosh, suppose I'm wrong. You know how our minds come up with all these things when we make a decision to move forward? And I'm thinking all these things. So what I did was I looked at all the things about it, the judgment, the discernment, the intuition, and what I was using every aspect of that, the wisdom, because I knew somewhere that it needed to go to the doctor to be trimmed. So what I do, and this is what I do, okay? I look to see where I'm getting the words, okay? And the things I'm going to tell you is in my workshops that I'm hoping you all come to, is to, you told me to advertise.
Yeah. We need to do these things more.
Is to learn how to find out where we have so many voices, and to find out where the voice that you hear that you want to pay attention to. So I heard that voice where it comes from here, and I paid attention to it. And then, not knowing, what's discernment again?
Wisdom.
To make decisions.
Intuition.
To make good decisions.
Discrimination.
Discrimination.
Okay, so I went into just to that. Okay, am I right? Am I wrong? Judgments coming up. All like I told you this week, it's been like, what is this word? And so what I do is when I make a decision, I have several tools, and I really have maybe 6 or 7 tools that I use, and that's how I check to see if I'm on the right path of what I'm doing. And these are the tools that Robert said that I worked with Caroline Harris. I did. I learned a lot of ways to check my decisions. So that's discernment. So I went into discernment, okay, and I kept getting yes. So we ended up going to the doctor.
And I kept getting no.
And then what happened?
She was right.
So that's just, that was a simple little example to show you how our minds, do tricks on us. And if we have certain ways that we can say, oh, that's right, then we have more of a feeling, especially what we're talking about today in the gut. That's where we're getting the wisdom. And thank you, Dina, for bringing Dina brought a yellow plant, because that's the color that we're working with today. Okay, you all have in your bulletins a copy of this card, and it's the wisdom, and there's an affirmation on it that I'm going to say, and if you choose to, you can say it along with me. And these are the cards of all the, RJ has some.
In yellow?
If you need it.
It's in here somewhere. It's highlighted in yellow.
Yes. Yes. Okay, and the affirmation
There we go.
is Elvis is, are you ready? Okay. I claim wisdom now. I use wisdom to discern how to apply what I understand, so I am being the best I can be. Discernment in there. Do you want to put this?
That's beautiful. Beautiful. And my thought is, the discernment, we're always looking for agreement. We want somebody to agree with us. And unfortunately, we look outside rather than inside. So these are ways to look inside instead of outside. And anybody familiar with experts? Okay. And I'm tired of experts. And the truth is, we have to take that information in because it's valuable. However, what is valuable for my particular situation? And I was off on, the medical world and what they do. And she was with Spirit, and Spirit knew, so, and I'm very chastised. Sure. So I'm learning to shut up. Can you imagine living in the house with this?
You mean
sorry.
a good north compass?
Yeah, it really is. It's kind of like,
in your house.
yeah, you gotta learn to shut up and listen once in a while.
But he knows lots of ways to go inside too. I mean, through the years, we've worked in all kinds of ways to get our answers for ourselves. I have a little card here. These are my list of things. So now I have the revealing word. And I have all these books. I only have 4 books. There's 1 sentence in each book, so don't be concerned. Okay, this is Robert's book that he uses all the time, The Revealing Word.
I have that problem.
Really? Okay. The price that we must pay for the conscious attainment of divine wisdom and understanding. Okay, I'm going to start again. The price that we must pay for the conscious attainment of divine wisdom and understanding. Do we all want that?
What is,
Here's the price you have to pay.
what's the word?
Wisdom
Oh, wow.
and divine understanding.
The price.
Okay, ready for the price you have to pay?
Yeah.
Letting go of the personal self with its limited beliefs.
Ouch.
That's expensive.
Okay? All we have to do is let go of our thoughts and stay in touch. Okay, 12 powers. You want to make any comments about that one? You want to give up yourself?
I'm just thinking about that. I can remember when I was in the corporate world, we used to pay thousands of dollars for opinions. We'd bring consultants in. We did all kinds of things. And a lot of times we knew the right thing to do, but we needed approval from somebody else. And it's very interesting. And we do that right now in looking for a new home, church home. Is it what a church looks like? There's all those things. Rather than just turning it over and letting the Spirit find it. Thank you. The price.
And I had a friend that, when we used to live in North Texas, and she was a friend and acquaintance, and I used to work with her on belief systems and different things. And if she wanted to know something, she would ask me, and I'd go, well, go within. She would ask probably, I don't know how many people she would go to ask, get her answers. And it was just so frustrating, however, do we do that?
Yeah.
Do we all do that sometimes when we don't know? So this is, let me see what this is. 12 powers. Intuition, judgment, wisdom, justice, discernment, pure knowing, and profound understanding are natural to human. All these qualities and many more belong to every one of us by and through his divine sonship, daughtership, humanship. So it's in every one of us, even the people that are out there.
We sing that.
It's in every one of us. It is. And sometimes, I don't know that well, but it's difficult sometimes to, you see all these thousands of people, millions of people, to know each and every one of them has it, just as we do. And I think for me that's kind of a difficult thing at times.
Yeah, that's because, part of that is because we've been trained to believe we're not good enough, that we're sinful, and all the other things that come from a religious environment that I grew up in. I don't know about you. So I need approval from somebody else. It's interesting.
A little more to that too.
Say it again.
Yeah, when somebody is looking up to you as somebody special, you have special gifts,
Yeah.
they're giving away their power to you.
Yes.
And as a spiritual being, you know that they have it, so you want them to not look up to you because they have it too.
That's right. That's a good point. You know, I'm sitting here also thinking, I was thinking about a lot of the great inventions that have occurred, and I'm realizing that we've been through a lot of it. But, you know, like everybody takes, I don't have it, but everybody takes this little phone for granted. Do you understand 10, 20 years ago, that was a miracle, okay? And it would never happen. And somebody, you know, Jobs had said what they did was, he said this will work, and he continued. So it was somebody that didn't listen to the poo-poo experts that said it would never work. Look at Elon Musk. Look at what's going on in the world today. Even Elvis and I were sharing that you know, Madeline's father was a German machinist. He did amazing things, and he knew how to work machines. And now I found out Elvis is helping develop software to run machines that automatically create what the part needed.
Yeah, he used to build parts for people, this was years and years ago, of companies that couldn't find the part anywhere. So he was a real artist to do that kind of thing.
And that skill is gone because there's no need for it anymore. But you know, how would somebody say that? So excuse me, I'll shut up.
No, don't shut up.
It's amazing to me, it really is. How many changes have occurred because somebody didn't listen to other people? Okay?
Well, you know the definition of expert, right? Ex means past, spurt is a drop of water, so an expert is a past drip.
And I have to look at that, and I really do, you know, because we didn't do it that way in my day. So we really get, anyway, intuition. I've learned a lot in working with her this week, because she kept looking for, what does discernment mean? Well, judgment is almost a negative quality if you think about it in my book. When I judge something, it's an immediate thing which couldn't be, but discernment means taking the time to really look at it. Okay, but intuition is going to the higher level. So thank you for working with
That
it.
makes sense.
Yeah, it is. There are 3 different levels. Almost.
So we have a negative connotation of judgment.
Yeah.
Jesus said, judge not that you be judged.
Jesus said all these things. You know, that's why we say, do you believe in Jesus? Yeah, I believe in what he said. And he said, judge not lest you be judged. Thank you for bringing that up.
So, but here we're saying wisdom is judgment.
It's discernment, which is a higher level.
Janie, do you have something?
Yes, I do.
Oh, she's standing up.
I know,
Yes, I
everybody
do.
pay attention.
Right, programmatic. We go a long way back, but
23 years, 22 years.
23 and a half was counting. But what I'm saying is, when you said there's a high price to pay for intuition and wisdom, let me share a little bit about me. It costs a lot to listen to your intuition, your experience, your gut feeling, whatever. But when it comes to your dear loved ones, which he did to me, with the guidance, I had to let go of my sister, big time, because she was hurting me physically, mentally, spiritually, and I had to remove myself. And I paid a big price for that, big price, every day.
Thanks, Janie. JD?
Big time,
Yeah,
big time.
yeah, we were with them.
Anybody agree there's things we know we should do that we don't do?
Oh, yes.
Are you finished?
No,
got 4 more books.
I'll be with y'all in just a minute. This is the last part of this part. Okay? So it was about James, the son of Zebedee, represents judgment, which is located at the pit of the stomach or solar plexus. Do you get feelings sometimes if you shouldn't do something and you go ahead and do it?
Or if I'm afraid to do it.
Yeah. And when we get that, sometimes I'm afraid to do something. So is it because I'm not supposed to, or is it because I should move forward, right? So when we awaken to the reality of our being, the light begins to break upon us from within, and we know the truth. This is the quickening of our James, or judgment faculty. I still have more for the end, though. But Bruce, what did you have?
It was something that happened, and I may have talked about it, a couple of weeks ago. But it was this company I worked for in Saskatchewan for about 25 years. We got told constantly that we couldn't do what we were going to do, and we not only did what we.
Oh, you were talking about that last week.
Yeah.
Your imagination and everything else you did.
Everything else we did, and it just gives me the chills here thinking about it, because what happened was we not only became, had the plant running, but it went triple in productivity by the time that I left, 25 years later. And so it was just a really great reminder for me always that what other people say may not necessarily be what's true.
Oh, really?
How about that?
Yeah.
What profound. Who do you listen to?
Yeah.
Isn't that the big one?
Yeah.
That goes up in our house all the time. Who do you listen to? Who do you listen to?
Right.
Elvis.
Oh, no, I was responding, I think, that's the question I put in my hand.
You were just exercising?
Yeah, but in terms of, I guess a thought came to me, I feel like I've been moving towards, a great place, but for some time, I've just been holding on to this relationship that I felt hurt me. And in my mind, was going back and forth. But until I came to the realization that I have to let go and forgive that person for me, that knowing, that intuition, and that clarity came to me. I think just yesterday was that person's birthday.
Our house is working on a lot of that.
Yeah, so it was just like, oh wow.
Really going through that.
Yeah.
Same thing.
One of the affirmations from
Catherine Ponder.
Catherine Ponder is, I now let go worn out things, worn out conditions, worn out relationships. The divine order is now established in my life and affairs. Now there's an energy for good in the universe, which is the basic idea. So what's interesting is we're talking about developing the 12 powers of human beings. They're innate. And they're not there until we start recognizing who we are and returning to the spiritual path. But then they start opening up within our neuron structure, is the way I see it. So all of a sudden we're faced with exactly what you're talking about. Because something could work for years and years and years, and all of a sudden they're not there anymore. And that's what she reacted.
Yeah, yes, because there are a couple of us in our household.
Or a couple?
There 2 out of 3 are going through this relationship thing. Do you have a relationship with somebody, a friend, that it's like a 70 or 80-20?
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's so funny. We were talking about that today.
Yeah. But that's an intuition deal.
Yes.
That one hurts.
Yeah, and you don't want to hurt them.
Yeah, and you like chemically just get so much out of each other for so long, so there's a grief when you're gone. Maybe.
Valerie.
So switching a little bit back to something that you touched on, about, the input or the feedback that you get from others around you, and knowing that that's not always a a negative, that can be a really positive if you've got somebody who you trust, who you feel is spiritually in tune, who you feel like has your best interests at heart. Because I feel like sometimes, even though we go within and we try to search and we try to listen, sometimes you're just not there yet. And so Robert always reminds us, when you surround yourself with that spiritual community, and you've got those relationships where you can go and you can say, stuff, or what do you think about this? I think part of the thing about judgment is like when you put yourself out there to another person saying, hey, what do you think? And they come back to you and you're able to kind of, judge the information, discern, and then take that into discernment. Does that fit for me? Does that sound true for me? But I think that sometimes we silo ourselves. We try to figure things out for ourselves, which is not bad. But I think that, when we can be in a relationship with others who are spiritually like-minded, it can be super helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the idea of coaching, mentoring. What's interesting about it, though, it requires somebody to seek. In other words, what you're saying is you have to ask somebody that you trust if you can use that terminology. So part of the intuition is whose words can I use? But you're right, you're absolutely correct.
And and it might not be the same person all the time. Maybe I go to Madeline for certain things, and I go to you for certain things, or I go to Terry, or I go to
Yeah. And you never know where good advice could come from. That's the word discernment. We're trying to. That's discernment.
One of the things that happened for me was in the first 45 years of my life I was often I'd get these insights and I didn't know where they came from, and sometimes they really frightened me. I knew they were right, but they still frightened me.
And that's what we do in our workshop, to find out where I'm getting that information. And
that's a teaser again. It's amazing. It's like she'll stop. We'll be talking about something, and she'll say, "Have you checked the stoplights?" Okay, which is one of the techniques. Some of you have been through that class before. So there are different techniques. Okay.
Right. Yeah, I use red and green a lot. The stop or go lights.
It would take time to do that. It needs to be a class. Okay?
I love how you talk about taking the time, right? Instead of just blindly moving forward, taking the time, like, where is this information coming from? Does it fit? Is this ego? Is this other people?
Yeah.
But I like how I keep hearing you both say, when you stop and relook at it, because I think that's
and then argue back and forth a lot. You're right, though. He's my sounding board. My two daughters, have been raised in unity since they were this big. So we really, even though I have a daughter in Phoenix, we're always talking about things or raising each other up. So it really is important to be around people. What do you have?
No, I was just thinking about you brought up my nose, and everybody wanted me to go do this and go do that. And for some reason, I didn't want to mess with it, okay? And when the doctor noticed it, he just trimmed it off, and it actually is better than it was. So. And you were right, I hate to admit that. The whole family.
You say that a lot.
What?
You say that a lot.
I know.
You're right. I hate to admit that.
But isn't that interesting? I just don't want to mess with it. I just don't want to face it. I just don't want to
No. See, that's the ego.
And it's in that.
Yeah.
That's such a human part of,
Yeah.
Like you were saying, am I afraid, or am I afraid because I need to move forward, or am I afraid to just stop and not
And
do it?
sometimes I feel like you sometimes just don't have the energy to deal with it.
No.
And I
Or
think that that's where having people around you to say, hey, I've got you, or maybe going and laying down be dealt with, but
So if you were getting that, if you were lying down looking for an answer, where do you think you'd get it from? Would you feel it in your stomach, or would you hear it in your mind, or would you maybe hear it coming from this direction? See, that's what the thing is, to find out where it's coming from, so that it's much easier to operate in life.
Yeah. And I think that sometimes though, it's gonna be different, because sometimes it's just a knowing. Sometimes it's just but I think even when you get that, you have to look at it, I think that no matter, and I think that's probably why you have tools to double check, right?
Well, the discernment about things.
Yeah.
The discernment.
Yeah, but I mean, I think that sometimes the information can come from so many different places, but I think even if it comes from just like a knowing,
Valerie,
I think you still have to think about it.
Valerie,
Yes, ma'am.
the voice of spirit comes from a certain place. It doesn't come from a lot of different places.
For me.
Yes. I experience it a lot of places. I experience it physically. Sometimes I can see something, sometimes I hear it, sometimes it jumps out, sometimes it's grounding and soothing, and sometimes it's just no, not words.
She got what it's your point, and I have to admit, we all have a radar. We're all looking protection. I don't want you to say, I don't want this, I don't want that. Okay, what's inconvenient was the thing you identified. So part of my nose deal was I don't want anybody messing with my nose. Okay, so it's a radar, and what they said, I'm going to go in and get it trimmed. I want nothing in my body trimmed. Okay, so it's interesting. We do. We set up these.
So we're going into all the emotions, though, of things.
Yes.
We're going into the words. We're going into the feeling. Whatever other emotions we have about the whole thing.
Yeah, but I do agree with you that it comes from one place.
Spirit does, in a voice, in a voice. However, it can be, like his, I asked him, well, how do you know that? He goes, I know it.
It's an inner knowing.
Terry.
I've had two really strong experiences. One, our son Kevin had a heart transplant.
Yes.
And we would take him periodically to have catheterizations to see if he was in remission. Not remission, rejection. And we showed up one time, and the doctor looked at us and said, what are you doing here? And I said, well, you told us it's on the schedule. He goes, well, I can't do it. I have to be at a conference. And all of a sudden I was crying. He goes, what's wrong? I said, I don't know, you have to do this cath. He says, well, what are the symptoms? What are you seeing? Nothing. Well, how's Kevin at?
Yes.
Nothing. You have to do this cath. He said, well, I can't. And we'll check these test results. And if the test results are negative, then we'll come back and do it immediately the following week. Sure enough, he was in rejection. And then there was a time we were eating at Applebee's, and we had one of the grandbabies, and they were little. And I left the diaper bag in the car because I didn't need it. We weren't going to be there that long. And I had this thought, go get the diaper bag. I don't need the diaper bag. Go get the diaper bag 3 times. Very strong. Go get the diaper bag. So I told Marty, watch the baby. I'm going to go to the car and get the diaper bag. And I got up and I was walking out the table right across from the front door. There was a lady in a wheelchair, and she had water coming out of her mouth, and she was choking. And I looked at her and I said, are you getting any air? And she goes, no. So I wound up doing a maneuver to help her. But those have been those times where you pay attention.
Yeah, you really
pay attention. It's very strong.
That's awesome. So, thanks, Jay. I was just going to do that. It's to be continued. Okay, and if you're interested in a class, just let me know, and we'll, start one up. And I wanted to do an ending.
You want to do what?
I want to end it. So, do you want to say anything else?
No, I'm finished.
Are you sure?
Yes.
It didn't sound.
Almost.
Yeah. Okay, Course in Miracles. I'm a Course in Miracles person, and some of it's so beautiful, and there is a sentence here that I wanted to read to you, and then I want to read you a poem that I wrote about today. There is someone with you whose judgment is perfect. He does know all the facts, past, present, and to come. He does know all the effects of his capital H judgment on everyone and everything involved in any way. And he, capital H, is wholly fair to everyone, for there is no distortion in his perception. And I read it again because sometimes the course, you have to read it a couple times, but I thought it was beautiful, just what it said. Okay, so I'm going to end with a poem that I wrote a book, and I pulled one of the poems out of it, and it's called Letting Go of Judgment, Wisdom. I seem to have all the answers. I'm going to read it quickly because I know time's limited. I seem to have all the answers. They come so easily to me. I probably started this conversation maybe when I was about 2 or 3. When anyone has a problem, I could easily tell them what to do. I tried and they looked like they listened, but actually humored me too. So through the years is magnified, my advice was uncanny, so wise. However, it seemed in the long run, my judgment was really in my eyes. And realized that through my own thinking and trying to fix the entire world, I could be judging another for something in me that was curled. By allowing another to be and allowing them who they are, and finally venturing inward, even having to go so far, to work on myself, to know and to trust, that is all quite perfect, for peace is a must. So if someone is to ask for my help in some way, that may be the time to throw judgment away and look for the wisdom that comes from the heart and be there for them and think them, okay, that may be the time to throw judgment away and look for the wisdom that comes from the heart and be there for them and think them being smart. To learn my advice may be totally given in vain. Remember, don't offer it so freely. Tame judgment. Stay sane. And looking at another as perfect is my brand new value creed. For if all of us look within ourselves, we will always want to succeed. And if I can at least see the good within me, then all I have to do is see the good within thee. So thank you, my dear Father, for the awareness that I see that all your children are perfect, and I can let them just be.
Anything else? We got a lot done.